Hey, how's it going? Good morning. This is Oliver here, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how I lost 35 pounds before I knew the internalization method. So, anyway, good morning. So, I'm enjoying this long 4-day weekend. I hope you are too. So, I just got up and I was thinking about, you know, I was remembering about how I had all that when I was really overweight. I was 18% body fat. I was at the time I was 195 pounds, and I've actually got I got pictures and stuff of what I looked like back then, and but I remember I wasn't always like that. Before I was lean and I looked good actually. Before that, like most of us do, right? We're not just born overweight. But I remember the whole reason I even got to that point was I I was I was I was reading books and stuff, and I I learned that I was trying to look good. I was trying to look like Brad Pitt. I wanted to look like Brad Pitt. He was so, like, in the movie Troy, right? You seen the movie Troy? Like, Brad Pitt had those big ass muscles, but you could see all the lines on his muscles. I mean, the dude was huge, and so that's what I was trying to look like, right? But at the time, everything was telling me I needed to bulk up. I needed to eat a surplus in calories first, and then later on, after I've built the muscle up, I can cut it down, and I can get down to where I want to be, right? So anyway, that's kind of how I got to being 195 pounds and 18% body fat. So the funny thing was, when I was actually at that weight, I didn't I didn't really realize how fat I was. My wife used to always tell me, she would tell me, "Honey, you look fat. You look fat." And in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, I'm bulking. I'm building muscle. I've got all these big muscles. And really, I look like a big fat marshmallow. But in my mind, somehow, I'm thinking that I got all these big muscles that I'm building underneath all of that. I don't know, but that wasn't really what bothered me the most. What bothered me the most was the medical issues I was starting to have. Like, one specific issue was the heartburn. The heartburn was insane. Like, I after every meal, I mean, it just felt like I was drinking liquid lava or something down my throat. It was insane. Like, the burn, it would just right here in my chest, I would just feel it burning, and it would last for like 30 minutes after every meal. And God, it was so painful. It got so bad that I decided I would go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor and told the doctor what was happening. And the doctor said, "Oh, well, they got medicine for that. They gave me something. I think it's called Nexium or something." And so I took it. And this is a crazy story. Like, I took the Nexium, and after a few weeks, I don't know, maybe a month of taking it, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take Tums. I don't like taking medicine. I don't like taking something long term like that. I'll just take Tums when I need it, and that'll be it. So I stopped the Nexium, but I think I'd forgotten to take it prior to, and I had started again. I forgot to take it. I started again, and then finally I just stopped. I was like, I'm just not gonna take it anymore. Well, a few days after I stopped taking the Nexium, oh my goodness, I went to the bathroom. I went number two, and I was sitting on the toilet, playing my little iPhone app, and just a normal bowel movement, if you will. And holy mackerel, it felt like liquid lava coming out of my butt. I mean, this wasn't just like, okay, Montezuma's Revenge or something. You ate some hot chili pepper, or you drank the water in Mexico. No, this was something different. I mean, I'd had food poisoning in Mexico. I drank the water in Mexico. I knew what that was like. And this was something completely different. Like, that was like some serious shit. Like, I felt like razor blades coming out of my ass. I mean, it was, my God, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, at one point, and this lasted for a week. Like, I was like, okay, I can deal with this, but it kept going and going, and I had to shit more and more. I mean, it was like, God, it was just so painful, right? It was insanely painful. And eventually, actually at one point I actually had tears coming out of my eyes. Like I was dreading going to the bathroom. Like as soon as my stomach started bubbling up, I was like, oh no, please God, no. It was so painful. I'm not kidding you. And so I finally couldn't take it. I got to go to the doctor. This is insane. I don't know what this is, but I think I'm pretty strong most of the time, but I couldn't take this anymore. This was like, I was exhausted. I was wore out mentally from the pain. And so I went to the doctor, walked in the doctor's office, and no, I don't really want to tell the doctor, hey, you need to look at my ass. Who the hell wants to do that, right? I was dreading that shit. And so anyway, I go to the doc. I'm like, hey, something's wrong down there. I think all the skin has been ripped off of my asshole because all I feel is pure pain when I shit. I don't know. Is there something you can give me, like, to numb my ass or something so that I can shit without fucking feeling like I'm giving birth or something in my ass? So, of course, drop your pants. Let me take a look. Like, shit. So, I knew that was coming. Drop my pants. Bend over. Looks at my ass. Although I don't know why he looked at my ass, because all he ended up saying was, well, nothing I can do for you. You'll just have to wait till it goes away. You'll have to wait for it to pass. I'm like, what the fuck? Can't you give me something? Like a numbing agent or something? No, sorry, there's nothing we can do for you. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man. Luckily, it only lasted for like a couple more days, right? And then I finally went away, and oh my God, if I even see a bottle of Nexium, I have like I go into withdrawals, or I go into I want to lay in the fetal position. I never take that shit again. Anyway, that was just one of the medical conditions I was experiencing. And at the time, it was funny, I didn't even realize like it was because I was overweight. Like, it's funny, like, I don't know why the obvious things are like not obvious at the time, right? I just put on all this weight, and now I have heartburn, and I thought it was because I was getting older, or, it was just changing or some shit. Anyway, there was other medical issues as well, like I had, started to have back pain, because one of the weird things about when you gain weight, you can't control where you gain it, right? And it was funny, because for me, like, it just happened to be, like, where the body fat would come on me was in my stomach and on my ass. It was like, for some reason, and my hips. Those were like where the fat would just like start packing on. And I noticed my stomach. My stomach was sticking out when I was wearing my shirts and stuff. But then my pants is where it really bothered me, because none of my pants fit anymore. Like, I'd try to pull up my pants. I had to buy all new wardrobe. Like, it was insane. Like, all the clothes I loved, I had for years and years, I couldn't wear anymore. So it was all bad there. So anyway, so one day I was laying in bed, and I woke up from bed, and I had really a lot of pain in my back, right? And I got up, and I didn't know what was causing it, and I think it was because my ass was so big. Like, literally, my ass was sticking out this way, and my stomach was sticking out the other way. I looked like a weird shaped, like a this and a this, like an S. I looked like a big fat S. It was ridiculous. And my back was hurting. I would go for these runs. I was a runner. Like, I was in the Navy, right? I'm in the Navy, and I would run, and I'd go for, I used to run a lot. Like, I was running, like, up to one point, I was running 8 miles a day. And, but, God, I was only doing, like, 3 miles a day at the time, and my knees started hurting because of all the extra body weight on my knees. And so I guess the extra pressure on my knees when I was running, I could just feel it. Anyway, so I had all of that going on. I had all these medical issues. People were telling me I was looking fat, and that was different for me, because I wasn't used to that. I was used to being lean my whole life. Another funny thing that would happen to me would be it seemed like ever since my stomach started kind of coming out of my shirt and everything, one thing that I started to do was I noticed I was always sucking my stomach in. Like I'd be standing up And anytime someone walked by, I'd go chest out, stomach in, and I got to the point where I was like walking around like that. Like I was walking around with my stomach in, and my chest out, trying to hide my stomach from sticking out, right? And anyway, so these were all the things, right, that I was kind of going through. And my wife was telling me I looked fat. People were telling me I was looking bigger. And finally, you know, all the medical issues and everything that was going on, I finally just said, you know, I've had enough of this. It's time to cut down, right? It's time for me to get back down to a healthy body weight level. I don't know what's going on, right? So that's when I decided to cut down. So what my plan was I already knew the plan. The plan was going to be, okay, so I was in a surplus. That's how I got to this point. I was at a 20% surplus in calories, right? So I think at the time I was consuming 3,500 calories a day. And my maintenance level, I think, was like 28. And then I needed to get down to like 24. So it was something like I had to take like in 1,000 calories less a day than I was currently taking in order to actually get the weight off, right? So that's what I did. I went ahead and I went on the deficit in calories. And there was definitely some challenges along the way. You know, one of the big things was like hunger pains. I remember, man, when you go from a surplus in calories down to a deficit in calories, one of the things you're definitely going to experience is hunger pains. Like and the hunger pains were severe. It felt like, you know, someone was stabbing me in the stomach with a knife. I mean, it was insane. And so that was one thing. And I remember, you know, when you're in this deficit, right? And so one thing I experienced a lot was cravings. I had a lot of food cravings. I mean, I guess you have food cravings no matter what. But like pizza, like cookie dough ice cream. Cookie dough ice cream was amazing. Brownies, cookies. I love just cookies. Cookie dough ice cream, cookies. I mean, all these things you had to deal with. But I remember one thing specifically that was extra frustrating to me. Even probably I experienced it too when I was bulking. But when I was cutting, I call it cutting, right? But it's just going on a deficit and losing fat. But one of the things I experienced was like some weeks would go by and I wouldn't lose any weight at all. Like it was insane. Like I would do that whole week. I'd follow my deficit. I'd eat right. I'd do everything right. And then the end of the week comes and I didn't lose any weight. I was like, you gotta be kidding me, right? I just spent the entire week doing all this stuff and I'm right where I was a week ago? I mean, you gotta be kidding me. That is horrible. Like, that's like one of my biggest pet peeves, like, wasting time. I can't stand it. And that'll piss me off more than anything else is having to waste my time. And so that was definitely a big challenge for me that I ended up having to deal with. At some point, though, you know, you started losing the weight, and all my fat clothes stopped fitting, and I had to go back down to my skinny clothes. So now I got like 2 sets of clothes in my wardrobe. I got clothes for when I'm overweight, and then I got clothes for when I'm underweight, right? But anyway, I finally got to the point, right? I'd made it. I'd made it to the point. I'd gotten back down to my body weight. I was so excited to do this cut because I was like, I'm finally gonna look like Brad Pitt, right? But it didn't work out that way. It didn't work out that way at all. Like I ended up being right back where I had originally started. I was back down to the same weight, the same body fat percentage. It was basically a big waste of time. 6 months of my life gone, and I was fed up. I was tired. I was like, part of me just wanted to say, you know what, screw this shit. I'm done. None of this, it didn't work for me. I just spent 6 months trying and I didn't get anything to show for it. It was pretty pathetic. But anyway, another story real quick. Like, I was down to like, I think 170, right? And then I went to Burma with my wife on a vacation. And for those of you who don't know Burma, it's a country over by Thailand, around that area of the world. And it's like a third world country, right? And we were there to visit some of her family because she's from Burma. And I remember going to the restaurant there in Burma, and the food's amazing. Don't get me wrong, the food was absolutely amazing, right? And I love Burmese food. However, when I was in there, I was watching them. They make it right there, and I was watching them, squeeze all the food with their hands, and they're mixing it together. And I thought that was interesting, no gloves or anything. You're just using their hands. And so then I I had to use the restroom, right? So I went in the back to use the restroom. It was behind the restaurant we were eating in. And in Burma, when you go to take a number two in Burma, it's just a hole in the ground, right? There's only a hole in the ground in Burma, and they don't have like traditional Western toilets, right? So you have to squat down into this hole, and next to this hole in the ground, they have this like tub of water sitting next to you, and inside this tub of water is this cup that's kind of floating on top of the water. And the idea is you take this cup, you get some water in it, you put it underneath your butt, and you take your other hand and you splash the water up into your butt, and you wipe your butt and clean off the poop. And then the craziest thing is I leave this bathroom, there's no sink to rinse my hand after I did that, there's no soap, there's no anything to clean, and there's no paper towel. So I'm walking out with a wet hand that I just wiped my ass with, and my ass also, I couldn't dry my ass off, so I got this big wet stain on my ass walking around. When I left Burma, all my pants had this brown circle stain on my butt. And it's no wonder they wear like these dress looking things over there, because it's probably because they don't want all their pants to be stained brown from their ass. But anyway, I get back out to the restaurant, and after just experiencing that shit, right, where I was rinsed my ass with my hand and there's no soap in the bathroom, and then I'm looking at them mixing my food with their hands, and I'm thinking, okay, this can't be good. I know they don't have soap in the bathroom, and they're over there mixing my food with their hand. So it's like, oh God, whatever. So I ate it, and needless to say, 2 days later, I'm shitting water, right? I got food poisoning, major food poisoning, like worst food poisoning I've had. And I've been to Mexico, drank the water, had food poisoning in Mexico, which is like a bacteria infection. Well, definitely, this was just as bad as that, if not worse. And so I'm laid up in the hotel for like 3 days, just shitting water. I can't eat anything. And then finally, luckily her mother knew somebody, had some medicine, some pills, I guess, that I could take. And they brought some pills into the hotel room, gave me these pills, and I started to get better. But it took me like a week or two to finally fully get better, but I ended up losing 10 pounds. So on top of the fact that I was down to 170, and now I went down to 160, I mean, I'd lost any muscle that I'd ever built, and it was just this big crazy thing. So if you want to lose weight, another option is to go get food poisoning. I don't recommend that option because it's not fun. But anyway, so I guess I'd made it to my goal of losing the weight, but I didn't make it to my goal of putting on the muscle, right, that I needed to do. The cool thing was, later on after that, I ended up actually learning how to do all this stuff. I finally figured out that I wasn't tearing my muscles correctly. That's why I didn't build muscle, which I ended up figuring that out later on. And then I ended up acquiring the what I call the internalization method, right, which is like breathing. You don't think about breathing. Well, you don't think about weight loss when you're on the internalization method, right? It just happens. And so that's it led me to eventually being able to acquire the internalization method, in which I'm at now, where I'm actually building muscle every month now. I tear my muscles, and I'm continually moving up my body weights. I'm continually to build muscle now, and my body fat stays low, and sometimes I lose body fat. And so that's kind of the goal. So again, that's pretty much my story there on how I lost the 35 pounds of body fat, not using the internalization method, but doing some severe cutting of calories and stuff. But anyway, go to my website, get on the waiting list for the internalization method. It's going to be coming out in like a month or two. It'll be great. You'll get to learn some amazing stuff. I'm really excited about it. So it's some of my best stuff. Like, I'm putting everything into this course. All right, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I'm trying everything in my power in this course to be able to allow you to achieve what took me 3 to 4 years to acquire in my head. I want to get into your brain within like 8 weeks. So it'll be fun. All right, anyway, talk to you guys later. Bye.